Hello, I am Robert James Fremantle, and your perception roll has brought you here into the House of Traps, Part 2. And this is Concept. So here we have to look at what when we look at concept, we get story and mechanics, two important elements. And obviously the mechanics are the system whereby you will be running it in the world for the players, and then the story is the actual reason for those things being there. So what you're dressing them up with to make them more believable to your player characters, rather than them just being a bunch of designs to puzzle crunch them, as it were. Right, so we'll look quickly at the mechanics side and what it's based on conceptually. So first up, it's going to be for the age system because that's the one we're playing. But the beauty of the age system is it's very simple, and I'm experienced enough now to be able to convert things into it, so I can draw from a lot of different trap references that are available here, there, and everywhere, and pick and choose and put them into this. And maybe we can get the community involved, as I mentioned in a previous video before. Maybe we can get some of your traps implemented into this, because the beauty is obviously you don't even have to submit it as an age system trap. You can just submit it in its bare bones concept, or in another system's mechanics that could be just easily converted over. Okay, so the continuation of the concept, where I first got the idea. Well, I have to give huge props to www.koboldpress.com. They have a feature on there which is by the Trapsmith, and the Trapsmith there, he sets a challenge normally in which viewers submit sort of mundane household items, and he needs to string them together and make a trap out of them somehow. Well, anyway, he did a special two-parter series thing that took a tangent off of the norm of the article writing, called Trapsmith Get Gavin. Get Gavin itself being obviously a reference to Kill Bill. I'll just read you the introduction that it actually says here. Too many deaths, too many friends lost. They were cheated, drowned, and maimed. All died a horrible death, all because of one man, Gavin. It took some effort to track him down, but you traced him to his workshop and home. It is time to settle scores. And I read that and something started tingling in me. And I started going through the concept of the layout there, what they had, and it didn't really blow my mind, because from like part 1 and part 2 of all the traps, I thought, well, it's going to come away a bit mundane. And if it's Trapsmith's own home, I'd like it to have more punch than that. So I decided straight away, yeah, I'm going to use this. I'm going to use this Get Gavin as a complete base, and then I'm going to alter up around from it. So that's what we're basing off of. Okay, links below to part 1 and part 2 of that. You'll be able to see the map that I'm basing from. Okay, and I will be drawing that map up in extreme rough on multiple bits of A4 paper for each floor. And obviously that will be used as a personal reference only. When it comes to the table, I'd be drawing each room out as the players experience it onto a whiteboard, and then using miniatures and they move their miniatures to determine their placements wherever in a given room. That's usually how I run things here. So that is the concept of what we're drawing from. We're taking that and we are adding and adding and adding to it. We've got the potential to add floors, hidden sections, multiple extra rooms, to take some of those traps and alter them so that they are a complete different trap. Just so many ideas are buzzing around on what to do here. And again, I want I want to follow this through, and at the very end, if it succeeds, we can look at, what succeeded, what worked, and if it fails, we can come away all the richer for it, even by knowing, oh, well, this is potentially why it failed. I think that assessment element is very useful because, this isn't just here for, I'm not here to impress you. I'm not here to show off. I don't know if this is going to work or not. I'm putting myself out on the line here, and I'm doing it for, to be honest, the sense of community, because that's what gaming is to me. Gaming should be about community, about the social experience of it. If you're just getting together with a gaming group, if you don't like the players, you're not really going to be very happy doing it. I think one of the important elements of gaming is that it is also a chance to enter that social hub, really, and lose yourself in the experience of doing that. And I think some of that is it's important, that we need to have at least a enjoyable social interactive element with our other players. Right, so we're basing around that, so take a look at that by all means, and the map is on there. Now, storyline, how I'm planning to make this work. So in our campaign, you will, if you've been following it, know that Lady Baranti is an evil politician, but just a politician, and she's a ban, and she's got control over the group and can tell them pretty much what to do. She's got them by the short and curlies, and she wants access to this trap maker. I mean, the idea here is I'm taking that idea and running with it. This thought that, when you go into all these populated dungeons, someone actually must be making the traps, mustn't they? Someone must be hired. There must be a professional trap smith that gets called in to actually set traps up. Yeah, because, your normal laymen, brigands and such, might not necessarily know how to set up such complex traps. I mean, they might be able to do something small, but the really crazy things where you've got like gear system thing, dungeon crawl type traps that have pulleys and locking systems and fulcrum type plank systems and weighted sections and sand filling things and yeah, water funnels and things like this. When it starts to get quite complex, that should actually be the work, really, of a skilled, a master skilled labourer, or a trap smith. So this would be the person that you'd hire to come, build dungeons for you, as it were, or at least to put the traps part in. So Lady Baranti, she has discovered a trap maker, a trap smith, and she wants him. I'm going to change his name from Gavin, because that seems just like a bit too blunt for the world, and I'm going to change it to Garviel. So it will be Get Garviel. The only time I've ever seen Garviel used was in Warhammer 40k, Garviel Loken, of course, if you know the Horus Heresy stuff. Okay, so she's going to say to the group, I want you to get Garviel, I want him working for me. I want him making traps for me exclusively. I want him to tell me how these traps are designed, so that when I send my agents in, they know how to get around them. We've got some important work to do. She's very much, she's got her fingers in very many pies, and what she wants. And she wants Garviel. So the party would essentially have to go and take him by force if necessary. Garviel himself is going to be a fairly jolly character, but he's going to try and trip them at every step and not comply willingly at all. He's probably going to have a sort of West Country, Bristol type based accent or something. That I think that would be quite fun. Also, I'm thinking in this early stage that if the unthinkable happens and any of the players were to actually die in the House of Traps, in Garviel's own home/workshop, then I would actually very much consider making Garviel a player character usable, and really granting that Trapsmith idea, and then you'd essentially be creating a very sort of clever adept type rogue who, rather than uses his base stats to do damage, he would use other means such as crossbows and bombs and grenades, poisons, and things like that. So he wouldn't have the inherent skills necessarily. So I would probably build him myself and hand him to a player with maybe a little extra thing on top that makes him unique. I think uniques are fun to play, and they're there, and they're alive, and then if they die, they're gone, and the like of which will never come again. And that's why I think you can break the rules sometimes, as long as it's a unique you're creating to break rules. So maybe I'd create a specialization for him. Maybe he'd be that trappy that he'd actually be specialization Trapsmith, rather than just having the traps focus and so on and so forth. That he could take at novice, journeyman, and master, levels 6, 8, and 10 respectively, for the age system, of course. Remember, so the players have to go in, essentially break into his home, because he's not gonna come willingly, on the orders of Lady Bronte, and bring him back alive at all costs. Now, I don't necessarily see Garviel as being a horrible character, but I definitely see him as being a bit of a weirdo, bit of a nutter, sort of balding on top, bit of crazy hair sticking up, kind of gnomish looking, even though he'd be human. Lives on his own, no spouse, no family to speak of, and the only other people in there would be his carpenter labourers that come in and work to his specifications and go out and build to his specifications. But a design master. So yeah, there we go. There's the concept now locked down for you, and to show you the beginnings, which is a slight bleed over, you can see here one of the pages that I've taken, if it's not too white here, from the thing, and drawn it up here, and that's the kind of like rough design. And I did one of those for the first floor, and I've already been adding a lot of information to it from my own notes. So you can see here where it's all going down, and notes on the back as well. Already starting to think, oh, what can I add here? How can I really juice this up? Of course, the other thing is that some of the traps that you'd make would possibly get ignored, and okay, that's all right, I suppose, especially if I were to scan all this out at the end and then make this available so all of you could run it, even though it would be in my crappy handwriting sort of notes. I'm sure you could work with it. It's just how I've got to work, because I don't have a nice app system to use, so I'm being very old-fashioned here. Anyway, that was the concept design and how it's being implemented story-wise here for my campaign. Feel free to do it any way you like, just like I have, of course, from its original source. And you could do it from its original source, or you could take it from its secondary source, i.e. here, and take it somewhere else too. Or you could just copy straight as is, or you could just get involved and let your ideas flow into this project. So that's it for part 2. We'll leave it there, and when we come back with part 3, we'll be looking more at the design process, what some of the traps are that I'm adding in, and if we are going to be taking any of your ones and adding them. Obviously they need to be justified to work in a household type environment, even if there is a secret passage that leads down to something less household like. It just can't be overdone. And I'm trying to avoid combat if at all possible. I think it's I think it's a nice break, you know, to really test the group's other abilities. And here they'll be going in without a rogue. Fun, 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 fun. See you at the next one.